All right, so good evening, everybody. The time is 6 o'clock. We are going to get started. Definitely wanted to provide for you some support with your new iPad just to make sure that you are able to navigate it. If you were not able to come yesterday or today to get your iPad, additional textbooks, and supplies, please make sure you schedule a time. We'll really just come up between 8 and 3:30 to get your iPad, additional supplies, and the rest of your workbooks that we passed out yesterday. Mr. Kern, who is our technology coach, will lead this session. But before I hand it over to him, Ms. Townsend, do you have any announcements or anything else you would like to discuss this time?
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you guys are enjoying virtual learning. We actually wish we all had you back in the building. Can't wait to see you all. We're going to push out some information regarding open house next week for all of your parents to attend. Please make sure that you continually watch our Facebook page and our Instagram page. You know, sometimes we have technology issues. We had a few today. A lot of you were able to log on quickly because you have been listening to your teachers about the next step when we have technology issues. So please just continue to watch our Facebook and our Instagram page for an update. If you guys have any questions, most of you, I see a lot of new people on here, so I'll push that out later. But for our old scholars, if you ever have any questions, you have either my phone number or my email address to get in contact with me. And that's it.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Townsend. So at this time, we will turn it over to Mr. Kern.
All right, great. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to make this as simple as possible and as short as possible. So first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who was attended yesterday and who attended today to pick up their technology. Please understand that this grant has a lot of bumps in it because the technology is new for us at CMSD. So there's a lot of bumps in the road that we have to work through, but once we get those bumps figured out, things will be a lot smoother. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a student iPad that I grabbed from the staff that's waiting at Wade Park and walk people through the issues that we uncovered this morning. So I'm going to walk through several things. I will take questions at the end. So let me walk through it. If there's any questions or concerns, at that time we'll have an opportunity for questions. This session is also being recorded. So if you need to, feel free to come back and watch the session. It will be very informational. I will go slow and methodical through it. But a lot of you guys with the technology already, I think will have no problem. It's just a process of understanding how to do that, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen, Dr. Buddy, if that's possible.
Yep, your co-host.
Okay, everybody can see my screen?
Yep.
On the iPad? Okay, great. Okay, so for those of you who have the iPad or do not have the iPad, this is the home screen of the iPad. So as you see, all of the different icons up here are icons that are used and will be used for the school year. The first one we're gonna cover is Clever. So Clever in the app here is located at the top. It might, on my iPad, it may not be located in your iPad, okay, at the top. It might be located on this page or the second page, anywhere in between. So the first thing is, don't freak out if you don't see Clever. It's there somewhere. And if it's not there, you can go into the self-service app, which houses all the apps for CMSD, for the Verizon program here. If for some reason it is not downloaded, it will say install, as it does for ABC Mouse. Since we're not using ABC Mouse, we're not gonna hit install, but as you see, it says Clever's reinstall. So I'm gonna back out of this and go back to my home screen, and there it is, Clever at the top. So to get into Clever, and let me preface it also as Clever, the applications like maybe Snapchat or Facebook or even iReady that's located on the screen here are independent apps. That means they run themselves, okay? with the Clever app specifically for what we're using it for CMSD and for Verizon and for the school year, this Clever app is by itself. So it does not have anything that goes with it. All it is linked to is a URL that opens in Safari, which is located at the bottom here with the compass. Safari is the web browser that is used by Apple. It is from Apple specifically. So when you open any app on an iPad, most times it is defaulted to open with Safari because that is the housing that Apple uses. It is not Google Chrome. So if you are trying to get on Google Chrome with Clever, please don't do that. Please follow the steps I'm going to go through right now of getting and going through Safari, okay? So all I'm going to do is all I'm clicking on is I'm going to click the Clever app. It opens. Now, there are two options here. We're going to go through both options. Now, I believe Remy is inside or is in this meeting, and I'm going to use her code because her code has an issue that some of you might have if you have not logged into Clever yet. So Remy, I'm going to walk you through this, and then I will give you your password when we're done, okay? Because I want to go through the whole step, and then if we need to change your password, we will. We will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the QR code here, and I'm going to shoot it on top, and it gives me a green check, and it clicks and makes a sound. Then from there, it now opens into Safari's word browser, okay? And watch how I know that. If I hit the home button at the bottom, it populates back into Safari. So, for instance, if you are trying to get into Clever and you cannot get into Clever, or you go back and hit Clever again, it's going to go back to the normal sign-in. There are some students that I talked to this morning that said it's annoying to do this. So if you're getting annoyed because you have to sign into Clever again, you do not. If you simply go back and go to your home screen and go to Safari and click it, it's right there and you can sign in there. So I'm going to show this again one more time. I'm going to go to Clever. If I have a QR code, I'm going to take the QR code and I'm going to put it in front of the screen. It recognizes it. It pops into Safari. And now I have 3 Clever browser windows open that I can access. So when I'm going to go in there, I'm going to go for Remy. Now, the issue is we had some students that saw this page and they were putting in their username for Clever into this page. This is a second step authorization from Clever. It is designed for this app because it wants to make sure that you are who you say you are when securely signing into Clever. Some of you have had this issue. Some of you may not have this issue. It is only uncovered in the issues that we tried with the QR code badge. So if you're using a badge for the first time, like I just did for Remy, you're going to have to create a 6-digit code. It can be any number you choose, okay? It can be any number you choose. So if I wanted to, I'm going to create a passcode for Remy. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to let Remy do that on her own. So I'm going to go in another way and use another student to log in. So that's the first way. If I go back here and I also look at the top, if I scroll up at the top right-hand corner, it says open. If I click that button, it takes me back to the Clever app that's on my iPad, and I can do the second option. If I don't have a QR code or a QR badge, I can go down to this blue button that says log in with username and password and click on that. It does the same exact thing. It brings me to Clever in Safari, it brings me into the web browser, and it brings me at Cleveland Metro School District. I have 3 options from here. I can either go back to Clever, the badge, and click there, and it populates back into that camera where I can shoot it, and I can go into log in with Clever. For the Active Directory would be for staff if we do that. The students are not going to do that. The students are going to click on this middle one that says log in with Clever. It will bring you to this page then. Again, we're still in Safari. We're still in the web browser. I'm going to put in a username. So I'm going to use Terod Axon's username. So I'm going to type it, and it is case sensitive. So it has to be just so that it works in there correctly. So again, if you're having issues with signing in, please make sure that you're typing it correctly, because a lot of the issues we're having are people are not typing it incorrectly, and they're calling the school and saying, well, we have an issue, and we're saying, well, it's not an issue on our end because Mr. Kern's done it 3 times and I had no problems getting in. So it's an issue there. So please, before you call school or freak out, take some time, look at the code again, Do it again. If you need to take a second chance, do it again. If you need to take a third chance, go ahead and do that. Now, if you're noticing here, I understand you can't see my fingers. So in the Clever app on this section, when you have to sign in for Clever in the web browser, it says username. It does not say password. It very slightly says password below having trouble. So all you need to do to put in the password is to click somewhere in this white area that's right there, and it now populates it. So now I'm going to put in the password. And I'm going to hit login. And from login, it's going to stay in Safari on my iPad. So now I'm logged into Clever. So if I look here, I have favorite resources. So I have iReady, I have Schoology. If I scroll down, I have core curriculum. And I also have the other apps that we're going to be using within Clever. So Schoology is there, Think Central, for the junior high 5 through 8 with the new curriculum textbooks. HMH is also there. We'll go through that, the issues we're having with that at the end of the session here. But for right now, this is Clever. This would be the same way as if you logged into a desktop computer or a laptop computer that it's in a web browser with Clever. The only difference is with the iPad, unfortunately, you can only run one application at a time. So it's not a computer where you can have 5 windows open and have Clever as your main window and then pop into iReady and then pop into Schoology and go back into Clever. With the iPad, it doesn't give us that option. So again, we're in Clever here. If I need to go to iReady, I can click it. Within my web browser, it says, do I want to open iReady? And now it's going to go to the iReady application. And it already populates because I'm signed in through Clever. Now, if I tried it a different way and if I went back to my home screen and I go to iReady, I'm still signed in. Notice that because you're signed in through Clever. For some reason, if you're logged out of Clever and you go in back to your home screen here and go back to iReady, it would say, please log in. And then you would have to log in. So the easiest way to make sure that your apps are running correctly is to go again through Clever, which runs, again, see how I did that? So if I don't want that and I don't want to have, I'm saying I'm not signed in, I am signed in. If I pop that out and go back and pop into Safari, it says, am I still there? And I'm still here. And if I needed to, I can hit my back button the same way as I went on a web browser on a laptop, and it brings me back to Clever. Okay? The other thing that would be also helpful for a lot of students, and I know that some people who had issues today who came up to the school, I gave them this tidbit. I think it's a great tidbit. It might help a lot, alleviate a lot of issues. So here's what you can do. In the top right-hand corner, next to the URL tab, where that half circle is, that's the refresh circle. If for some reason something's not loading, you can click that and it will refresh. But next to that icon, there's a button with a square with an arrow in it. In here, it gives you the option to add a bookmark. So you can bookmark this page. So on this device, I can bookmark this page, and I just click bookmark, and it gives me the option here to bookmark it. So I'm gonna hit save, and I'm gonna open another window so that you can see what happens. So I open another window. If you look just below where the favorites are, it says frequently visited. It says Clever. And if I click on that, it already takes me, boom, to my Clever. I don't have to log in again. It's already there. So it's very simple there. Also, for instance, I'm gonna back out of all of these pages, okay? So I have a clean slate here. I could search for Google, I could search for anything I want. I wanna go to Clever. So I can either click here on the frequently visit like I just did, or if I haven't visited that page enough, I'm gonna go up here to bookmarks, and the bookmark tab looks like a book. I'm gonna go to favorites and click on that, and right there is Clever, the last icon. I'm gonna click on that, and it brings me right back to the home page as it would for Clever. So that's the simplest way to get to Clever. So I would recommend that if you're doing this right now with me, or you're gonna watch this video again, please bookmark to Clever, and then remember that if it's in Safari. So if I'm going back to Clever, again, it's gonna have me sign in because the app is thinking it's refreshing every time. So I can do that, or if I don't need to do that and I'm already signed in, I can then go back to Safari and it's right here. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to cover tonight. Now, the next thing we're going to cover is iReady. So as I said, if I'm in Clever, I have two options. I can either run it from, I can either access it from Clever by clicking on the iReady icon here within Clever, and it says open this page in iReady. So that means it's popping from Clever now on the web browser to now the application that is on my iPad. And again, if you notice what happened here, I had signed out of that web browser, so now it's making me sign back in. So I have two options. I can either go back into Clever and sign in again as Trayvon. So I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to hit log in. And I'm going to hit iReady. I'm going to hit open. And it's going to bring me to his page already in here. Now, this is running the app of the independent app. It's not running on Safari. Notice at the top that it does not say Safari in a URL box. This is running strictly from the app that is now on the iPad. So he's running from there. He can use it anywhere. He can go into reading. He can go into math. If I exit out of this, notice how it just slides away there. If I, again, now go back to my home screen, if I go to iReady and click there, it populates. So there is times where it will automatically log you out. Not an issue. You just go back to your Safari, go back to your Clever, go back to your bookmark, access iReady, and pop into that. Okay. So that's the reason. So Clever is by itself, again, running from Safari, the same as it would on a website. By itself in Safari, you can access all your applications from there that we're going to need for the school year. So that's the two. We're going to cover iReady and Clever. Now we're going to cover Zoom. So again, with Zoom, within the iPad, it is an app located right here next to the Boss Cloud below OneNote. So in order to get into my class, I can use now this Zoom. I don't need to use the laptop. You guys were using laptops when you had them, where you had to go into the URL and type into Google and Google Chrome or Safari or Firefox, put in the Zoom URL, hit join a meeting. You're going to do the same thing, but now it's running an independent app. So just as iReady is independent and strictly on this iPad, now is Zoom. So I'm going to click Zoom to access Zoom. It's going to say start a meeting, and I can either sign in if I have an account. I can sign up if I don't have an account. If I want to name myself as my name. So if I want to, I have a personal account, as many of you know. So I would sign up. I'm not going to do that because it's a student device. You don't need to theoretically do that in order to get into class. All you need to do is click the blue button that says join a meeting, click it. You add the code here for your class. You would hit join. You will put in the code that more than likely is a school phone number. Click that, and then your teacher will have to let you in the same way into the Zoom room, and you will be able to access Zoom from your iPad. Now, the other issue that we're having with Zoom is that, for instance, say your teacher wants you to work in Clever, okay? So you have to go back to Safari and get into Clever to get into something that you're working on. If you're in Zoom, you will be on video the entire time. Your teacher will be able to see you, but you will not be able to see your teacher, and your teacher will not also be able to see your screen. So that makes it difficult for some students. So as I talked to Ms. Limper earlier today, she said that for a lot of her classes, she goes over the directions of how to get into Zoom, gives the directions of what she wants them to do. So if they're going to Schoology, if they're going into Clever, walks them through that, then lets them go to that and access what they need to access, but she always stays in Zoom. So if you bop out of Zoom, out of the app, it will still be there. Your teacher will still be able to hear what you're saying. The audio will not go away unless you mute yourself. And the teacher would have, again, the option to unmute you to talk to you. The teacher will also be able to see you, but you will not be able to see them. And at some points, it might not show the camera either at you. So the teacher might not be able to see your face or your or your screen unless you screen share with them and you stay in their Zoom. So Zoom will stay open until you either end that session in your app or the teacher ends that session. So I just want to clarify that again. So your teacher will not be able to see your face if you're not in Zoom. If you're in Zoom, the same for you, you will not be able to see your teacher's face if you are not in the Zoom app specifically. So if you're in Safari working on something that you need to be working on, your teacher had you work on iReady, and you're working on your math or reading, your teacher will be able to hear your audio, but they will not be able to see your camera because your camera will not be on. The camera is triggered to be in Zoom and be allowed. So if it's not allowed, it will not see you.
Mr.
Okay.
Kern, can you type in a number and just walk them, and I can send you one.
Yes, can you please do that? Okay, so Dr. Buddy has sent me a code. I'm going to type my code in here into Zoom. I'm going to hit join. And then Dr. Buddy, the password is school
Karen,
phone
can you
number.
go back?
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to start here fresh.
And I'm
Join a meeting?
saying that because that's where they need to, if they have not signed up for an account, they need to make sure their name is in there so the teacher lets them in the room.
Correct. So if I hit sign up, I'm going to click this in. It's going to ask me for my information, my birth date. I'm going to confirm that. So it's not, I know I did it earlier. It's not going to let me because it says that it's not old enough.
Yeah.
So if I move it here, I would put my email address in, use your school email address, put your first and last name in here, and hit sign up. And then you will sign up, and it'll already have you signed up within the app. Then to join Dr. Buddy's meeting, I'm going to hit join a meeting. I'm going to type in his meeting.
And then right below current, where it says that WP556, that's where they need to switch out their, put their
Okay. Yep.
Does it let them do it? Okay.
Yep, it does. So I would put in there Mr. Kern. So Dr. Buddy's saying it's already populating a username for you.
Yep.
So every time you log in to join a meeting, you need to change your name to your correct name. And no nicknames, no goofy names, no inappropriate names. It needs to be your first name, possibly your last name, or at least your end initial of name. So if I'm using Trey Ron's name, I would say Trey Ron. His last name is Axon. I would use A, period. Okay. Putting Mr. Kern in here, I'm going to take Dr. Buddy's code that he gave me. I'm going to type that right in there. I'm going to hit join. I'm going to now enter the passcode, which is a school phone number, which is 838-1750. I'm going to hit continue. And now it's going to ask me, this is a recurring meeting. I'm going to hit sign in. And see, now it's going to let me have to do it. So I'm going to have to sign in with my personal email address because it's not going to let me do that. So you're going to have to set up an account in order to do that. Come on. Okay, and now did you see what happened there? So on this option, I have my iPad in my hands. It's vertical. It didn't give me an option to type here until I turned it horizontally. Now it populated a keyboard there. So that might be an option because Mr. Kern here for a moment was kind of confused, but I just had to tilt it and recognize that the keyboard's there. So the keyboard, if that doesn't pop up, just simply pick up your iPad and tilt it from vertical to horizontal. So now I'm going to type in my email. I'm going to back out of this because I'm going to use my school email.
And
And it's
Mr.
going to say Zoom would like to access your calendar. I'm going to hit sign in. And I'm going into Mr. Park's personal meeting room. I'm going to hit sign in. Oh, why is it doing this?
So Mr. Kern, right there.
Yes.
So just point of clarity, if they don't have an account set up, obviously I gave you Mr. Park's meeting code number. He's obviously
Correct.
right now, so you can be in two accounts at the same time.
Correct.
But if this was class time, as soon as Mr. Parks let them in, if they were not signed in, they are still able to get in, just to make sure we're clear with them on that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. So that's how you would access it. So by the looks of it now, you need, and since they're fresh devices or brand new devices, you're going to have to sign in to Zoom. So the same would be, the same probably would have happened when you were given an iPad, or sorry, when you were given a laptop. You had to sign in with your username and code to access. So you're going to have to do the same thing for that. And then, to be honest, it's going to be more easier, or be easier for you if you do create a login, because it's already going to recognize you as that individual or that person, and then you'll just go to join. In this case, Mr. Park's meeting, and then you would just be able to already populate into that. Anything else you want to add there, Dr. Buddy?
No.
Okay.
We're
So
good.
that's how that runs within the Zoom app. Okay. And then the next one we're going to cover is for those of you who grabbed a keyboard yesterday and were able to grab them. So for those of you who are not there, Verizon only allowed us, or only provided us with 80 keyboards. We have well over 240 students who are within fifth through eighth grade. So clearly the number of keyboards that Verizon provided us with does not fit the needs of our students. So if you are interested, and yesterday, after we ran out of them, many of the students that we were talking with that were picking up iPads, we asked them to fill out their information. Dr. Buddy is working behind the scenes to see if we are able to purchase some keyboards for those of you who would like one. So we're going to work through that now on the keyboard. So I know myself and Ms. Limpert yesterday, when we had some downtime in between students coming in, we're troubleshooting some of the keyboard issues. So the biggest thing that myself and Ms. Limpert initially understood with the keyboard is that it has a lightning connector. So again, if you have an iPhone that has a lightning adapter, all the chargers that you have are lightning adapters. It plugs in there. So the keyboard has a lightning adapter. It does not need to be powered by a battery. It does not need to be powered by a wall unit. It does not need to be turned on. All you need to simply do and to work the keyboard is to type, or is to plug it into the iPad itself, right in the charging cord. And the issue that we uncovered yesterday with Ms. Limpert is she tried to put in the keyboard and it did not work, but she did not have it fully pushed in. So she pushed, it has to be hard enough, because sometimes with the case, for instance, if you've noticed, if you're trying to charge it, sometimes the cord doesn't want to go in there. So again, don't be forceful with it so that you're breaking the charger off, but be also mindful that it just needs to be plugged in a little more snugly due to the case. So that we're going to walk through that. So the first thing is, again, if you would like a keyboard, please reach out to your teacher. They can provide a list to Dr. Buddy if you are interested in one. And then when we do, if we decide to purchase them, or if we are going to purchase them, we will contact you to get that to you. So what we're going to do is with the keyboards, in order to use a keyboard as a fully functioning keyboard and to have this iPad now go from an iPad to essentially a computer, you have all the options for Microsoft Suite that are provided from the CMSD district for us to use. So those are the options of Excel, those are the options of OneDrive, those are the options of OneNote, Outlook for email, Teams, and Microsoft Word. So in order to get into Microsoft Word and to use it as a word processor, you have to first sign in. So I'm going to walk you through now that step of how to do that, okay? So again, if you see the icon here from the app is on the home screen, it says Word right there with the W with the blue. I'm going to click into that. And now it brings me into an item that already is here. Now, if I don't want that, I will back out of this and go into this menu here, which gives me an option for blank templates. It gives me an option to find recent documents that I've already created. It gives me an option to go through documents I've either shared with my teacher or classmates. It gives me an option to find files that are either on my OneDrive or within my site. So what we're going to do is I already have somebody signed in here as Corey Dorsey. I'm going to sign out of them so you can see what that process is like. So I'm going to sign out. And now I'm going to go back and start it as a new app. Also, as a good reminder here, I'm going to show to clear the apps. So for some reason, sometimes the apps are funky where they won't let you move or they seem to freeze. If you double click on the home screen at the bottom, it provides you and it clicks all these apps to your home screen. So what you can do is if you take your pointer finger and you take it from the bottom and you flick up, it gets rid of that. It essentially gets rid of that and clears that data from there. So it resets the app. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear all these apps out of here. And that way, if I do that, it will reset what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to clear those all. When it's done, again, it populates into my homepage. Now I'm going to sign into Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go up here to New, and I'm going to try to add a new Word document. So say I'm working on a new, I'm working on a Word document for Mr. Park's class. If I go right here and you notice I'm clicking on my keyboard, I'm clicking on the iPad, it's not doing anything. And in this gray header right here, it says to edit and save, sign in with a subscription. So each of you, as being CMSD students with a CMSD email, have access to Microsoft Word and all those Microsoft suites as I just mentioned. So in order for you to type into Word document, and better yet for that matter, in order to get into your email or to get into Microsoft Excel, you have to sign into each of those apps individually with your CMSD email and password. Again, if you don't have your CMSD email or password, please reach out to your homeroom teacher. They will be able to share that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit sign in. It brings me to this window where it says go premium for 1 month free. You don't need to do that. We already have that. The district already provides that for you. So you have the option to either hit sign in at the top where the cursor is, or go down here and hit sign in with Microsoft 365. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to wait for it to connect, and now it says sign in. So I'm going to add my CMSD email here. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to enter my password. And again, if you notice there too, I didn't have a keyboard. All I needed to do was click with my pointer finger into that box and it populates a keyboard. Now, I understand that you can't see the keyboard at the bottom of your screen on my Zoom sharing. It is there on my screen. So just so you clarify for that. So I'm going to type in my password. I'm going to hit sign in. And now I'm signed in. And if it's working, I can notice that that caret there is blinking. So now I am able to type anything I would like. I can also add an emoji if I'd like to. Okay, so there's how I do that. I can add that. I'm going to get out of that. I can go back to my Word document. I can change my font by clicking up there. I have the option to scroll. I click my font to make it 18. If I scroll on that and I click and I double click, I can highlight. And I can also hit select all. Now I can highlight that. I can hit copy. I can make it bigger. So now I made it bigger from 11 to 16. Again, I can click in here to change the font. So it gives me an option to do any fonts that I would like. I can click on that. Now I change the font. So essentially, from the word processors that are on the school computers at school within the computer lab or the laptops that you had, essentially now what we have is a fully functioning computer on the iPad that has the options to do all those Word documents. So now students within our school have the option to use Microsoft Word to work on processors there. The same way, if you go up here, I can go into options. or I can save it. So now if I save it, I can save it to my OneDrive. I can also save it onto my iPad. So if I save it here, I can save my document. I can change it. I can say 9 dash or dash 24 dash 2020. If I hit save, it's located right in there. If I need to, I can go right back here. And now right here, if you notice right there, it says today, there's my document. So I can go right back into that, click in there, and I can continue working on my document. Okay? So you have any option there. The main thing is you need to, before it will let you click in, you need to sign in. Now, there also is, again, any chance with any of the apps that it has the option, especially if you clear it like I did when I threw those out of the home screen, that it reset them. So there is a chance that you might have to log in. That's just part of what has to happen with the iPads. Okay? So again, if you have a keyboard or you do not have a keyboard, you can still use Microsoft Word. You can also still use any of those Office Microsoft suites with the Excel, with the email, with Outlook, with Teams, and with OneDrive. Okay. Anything else that I did not cover, Dr. Buddy, that you would like me to cover before we talk about the Ed HMH, just briefly?
I think we're good with that. Let's talk about HMH, and then we can open up for questions.
Okay. So as Dr. Buddy started at the beginning of the meeting, we are having an issue with that's being worked on by IT. They have also, from what Dr. Buddy said today, this evening, that they have rectified that problem. So we will be sending out a video. I will create that video and send it out on how to bypass that. And we're talking about specifically the HMH. So if I go back into Clever, and see, I did it myself because I'm just in the habit of going to that Clever icon, and you know what's going to happen. I'm going to go here back now to my iReady, and it's not going to let me do it. So I'm going to have to go back again to my bookmarks to find my Clever portal. I'm going to have to again log in because I cleared it. Again, I'm going to sign in with my password. I'm going to log into my Clever, and the option that we're talking about right here is the Ed HMH. It's part of my Clever and my core curriculum. I can click there. Again, it wants me to sign into Microsoft Word. So I'm not going to do that because I don't think with my access as the teacher, it's not going to let me do that. But again, we'll send out another information about that. So if you are having issues, I know one student in particular, their teacher wanted them to work on the core curriculum that's new for this school year. That's where we're having issues. So I will send out a video of that tomorrow, bright and early.
So Karen, go to your settings. Let's just show them.
Okay.
You can still send the video.
So settings in the home screen is where I'm going?
Correct.
Or settings within my browser?
Your general settings for the iPad.
Okay, so general settings again, if I scroll over, it's here on the second page where it says settings. It looks like the wheel. I can click on there. Dr. Buddy, you can guide me through.
Yeah, so once you guys get here, and I'll say this just for everybody, because there were some other issues which they rectified, but the main issue now is Safari is blocking your ability to open a new page. So scroll down, Mr. Kern, to Safari.
Did I go past that? Let's see. Yep, I did. So again, it's here, and most of the Apple ones are here within there, so it's just below voice menus and above news. So I'm going to click on Safari.
All right, and then you guys see in the second section where it says block pop-ups, you want to make sure you click on that to turn it off. That way it enables you, when you go into your app to get on your reading and math textbooks, you're able to open the different resources and your actual textbook. That is the fix for that. Just make sure you click on that like Mr. Kern just did, so it's no longer green. And you should not, I tried it with I logged in under 2 students earlier and it let me navigate it fine.
Okay, great.
All right, so we'll open it up now for general questions on anything that Mr. Kern went through this evening, just unmute yourself. I know we have a mix of students and parents on this evening and teachers. So if anyone has a question, this is your time to ask. And as Mr. Kern mentioned, we will post the full video on our school website this evening. So if you want to go back and watch what Mr. Kern did, you can. Any questions?
Okay, I have a question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Your last example of going to Safari and changing in settings, Safari and pop-up blocker.
Yep.
Please tell me, when do we apply that? At what?
Every single person that has an iPad needs to do what Mr. Kern just did to enable them to get to the into Lit and into Mat to be able to navigate it, because they'll let you log in, but when you click on the first, like when you click on any options, it won't open anything. So that's what Mr. Kern just did. Every single person needs to do that. Turn off your pop-ups. So what, and like Mr. Kern said, we'll post a separate video of that, of just that, but pretty much all you're doing is go into your settings, look for Safari, and then right there in that second section where it says block pop-ups, it comes with it blocked. You just click on it to turn it off. That's all you have to do.
Thank you.
Dr. Video, I want to know, are they to start using these iPads immediately?
So that is correct. And I'm glad you asked that. So just so that everyone's clear, we had posted that our 5th through 8th graders were accepted into the Verizon Learning Program and that we were rolling them out in August. This was announced probably last December. So our plan was to have teacher iPads pushed out in May and student iPads arriving at Wade Park in July. With everything going on with COVID, there was a delay and they just arrived. So we did not want our middle school scholars to not have a device for the first couple of weeks of school because they could not tell us when. So that was part of, why'd you give us a laptop and now you're taking it back? Well, the plan was never for our middle school scholars to have a laptop. The district loaned us devices for middle school scholars, which we have to turn back in. So our plan is for every middle school scholar to have an iPad as we speak and to be using it. Part of the session tonight, and this won't be the only session we'll do. Mr. Kern is our full-time Verizon coach who works directly with students and teachers. So, he'll be doing ongoing sessions that he is the point of contact with, to troubleshoot issues. So tonight won't be the only session we're having. If any scholars on tonight do not have their iPad yet, they can come up to the school tomorrow and get it. But our expectation is that all middle school scholars in 5th through 8th have an iPad and they are using it. One other thing, which I know Mr. Kern and Ms. Lippert told the kids yesterday, Verizon is paying for the data package on the iPad. However, we've told the kids, when you're home or when you're in if you're in Panera Bread or McDonald's and they have Wi-Fi, use their Wi-Fi because they only have 10 gigs. And once it's up for the month, it's up until the 27th. Is that correct, Mr. Kern?
That's correct. So every 27th of the month, it will expire and it does not roll over. So for instance, if we start now in September, so today's the 24th. So on the 27th of September, it will not roll over. So it doesn't continue. They only get 10. So they start on the 27th of September from the 27th of September to October 27th. They have 10 gigs to use. If they use it, they use it. If they don't use it, they don't lose it. It just goes away And for November and October to November, it would carry another 10.
Right. So like I said, we know many of our families either have their own internet or they're using one of our hotspots. We definitely do encourage students, if they're home or in a restaurant that has Wi-Fi, to use that Wi-Fi so they're not using up their data. But definitely for occasions where, if a student, is at their cousin's house or they're at the park and they're doing some work and they need to have, Wi-Fi, then that would be an opportunity for them to use their data that's on the iPad. But folks just need to be mindful, if you guys are watching videos, like definitely if you're watching videos on YouTube, that's eating up your data. So be mindful. I mean, if you're on Schoology, on Clever, even if you're texting folks on your iPad, that's really not going to eat up a whole lot of your data. But definitely if you're watching videos on your iPad and you're not connected to your home Wi-Fi, that is definitely going to eat up a lot of your data. So just be mindful that it resets on the 27th of each month. And as Mr. Kern just mentioned, right now you guys just got it and it's getting ready to roll over. It does not roll over to the next month.
Correct. And Dr. Bode, if I can, I'm going to show right now, because I know I showed some parents yesterday who were unfamiliar of how to find Wi-Fi with the iPad. Some of those parents I talked with yesterday had a good understanding of it. So here's how you find the Wi-Fi if you're not sure. So again, I need to go back to settings. I click on settings. I go back up here to settings and find my Wi-Fi option, which is below airplane mode. I click on Wi-Fi, and as it says here, my home internet is Kernsky. So I'm connected. If I have a blue check mark, that means I'm connected to my Wi-Fi. If I unhook from my Wi-Fi, if you notice in the top right-hand corner next to where it says 74%, it should, let's see, it should kick off and go to LTE, which would be Verizon. Let's see, I'm gonna try it one more time. And naturally, when I would like it to perform, it doesn't do that. So let me just say this. If you connect to Wi-Fi, you would find your Wi-Fi here options. So it would be down here in other networks if you haven't connected before. If you are connected, you would click where you're connected. It connects. If it's connected, again, it's in the top right-hand corner next to where it says 75 by the battery percent. The option, there's a triangle there. That means that would be the cellular service. So right now I have good cellular service at my house, but I don't need it. And then my Wi-Fi bandwidth is there. If I didn't, and I take off, and I'm gonna try it one more time to just see if it will kick off, it should say LTE where that Wi-Fi triangle is at. And if that's when it's LTE, that means you're on data. So as I reminded many students yesterday, if you forget to take yourself or put yourself back on Wi-Fi, you'll still have opportunity to use the internet because it's still always connected due to being connected to Verizon. But if you run out of those 10 gigs, it's not going to let you do anything. And then you're probably going to realize that you needed to be on Wi-Fi. So just before that even becomes an issue, just make sure that you're connected to Wi-Fi and stay on that Wi-Fi, and then use those 10 gigabytes if you need to.
Mr. Curran, click on cellular data so they can see that option.
Sure. So there's the cellular data as well. So if you see below, it has cellular data. If I click off on that, I wouldn't have cellular data. I can only make that option to be just Wi-Fi. So I can click that there. Again, it sells a cellular plan. So essentially this is like a cell phone. So it has a Verizon SIM card in there. And for those of you who have the iPad from yesterday, for part of the agreement that you agreed upon was that you will follow the Verizon guidelines. For those of you who do not have an iPad, when you see Ms. Burson in the office, you will have to fill out one of those agreements that goes with, it's not a CMSD district issue or opportunity or obligation. It's actually from Verizon saying that you're going to use the device from Verizon in the correct manner. So make sure if you go to Ms. Burson that you make sure that you take that agreement as well, because again, it's CMSD property. but it is also Verizon property, and they have the overriding rights of this device.
Any other questions? And definitely please don't leave, because I know any student that is in Mr. Park's class, he is giving you guys extra credit for being on. So please do not leave once we finish the last question, because we do want you to get your credit. Deneen?
I have a question. Okay, far as the Amir's class, they have to do like a lot of PowerPoint and a lot of diagrams and stuff. Yesterday, we had to go on Microsoft Word. It's not allowing them to actually go on there. We went on there yesterday and we went to share it. It deleted the whole project.
Did you try today? You had to do some fixes last night after you sent the screenshot. And Alan did some work during the day. So you're already on my list to have you try this evening, because there were some things that he had to clean up between 11 o'clock last night when he started again and maybe 2 hours ago.
Okay, and I just tried to do it when we were on the on here, and it's still not allowing me to do it. So I just wanted to make sure.
So it lets you connect the keyboard, but it's not letting you save it on his OneDrive.
Let me see. I'm gonna exit out. I'm actually going to go into probably PowerPoint because they have to do a lot of PowerPoint. And it's allowing me to go in there. It's like it start, and then I say turn no notification. It's saying that I'm all set, but when I go to the actual thing itself to say anything, it says your organization is now protecting its data in this app, and it says you need to restart the app to continue. I'll say okay, and then it'll click us out of it.
So Mr. Kern, that was the error message. I can show it to you. I showed that to Marlon, which did find an issue, the rights and whatever. So I tested out with this iPad I took home. I'm not seeing that error, but I mean, obviously she sent me a screenshot, so Amir's getting that error. So I'll let Marlon know about Amir, and then we guess we need to try with a couple more random kids just to see if because the error that she sent me yesterday, I did share with him, and he was able to duplicate that same error. But about an hour before this meeting, I tried again with this iPad I took home, and it went through fine. So we need. So Deneen, saying all that to say, we'll troubleshoot that because something's still not with Amir. So Kurt, are you able to do it on that? I know you took one home too, so I know you're logging on there. So
let me see if I can do it right now. Because I'm in. If you're looking at my screen, I'm in with the iPad in PowerPoint. So I went up to the right-hand corner here where there's the 3 dots just below the battery, and I've clicked there, and I click save. It also gives me and now it doesn't give me the option for auto save, but it gives me the option to save, and then I can save it again to my iPad like I did for that Word document.
So that's my first question right there. So Amir, Deneen, did you guys try to save it to his OneDrive? Where did you guys try to save it to?
We actually tried to save it to his OneDrive and the actual computer.
Okay, so both of them.
Yeah.
Okay, because again, like I did with my so I'm just going to do this with a test. I'm going to hit save, and then if I want to access it, I can either go back here with the arrow and go back here, and right there it says today, and it's located right there. I can go there, and I can find it. So I mean, we do have an issue there, Dr. Buddy. That's evident.
Okay.
And I know for sure, and I know that I know when I did my example for Microsoft Word with the keyboard, that I didn't do anything special here with Microsoft with the PowerPoint. I was already signed in within settings. So if I go to settings, it already says that I'm signed in with my account. So I'm assuming if that should be the same for everybody else. If you sign into one of the Microsoft options, you should be able to have access to all of them. But again, we will troubleshoot that. I will make sure that is correct. Is what I'm saying is that you will have access to everything. I think the only thing that might be the difficult one would maybe be email, where you have to again sign in with your username or your email address and your password.
And I'm gonna try Amir on another iPad and see if it duplicates the same error. So I mean, it could be, I mean, they shipped over, 40,000 devices the last month. So there's a chance it could be the actual device.
Sure. And for instance, Dr. Bodie, I also noticed here that I'm looking at older documents, everything that I've saved either in OneDrive or within my Microsoft suite. Because even I'm looking here, this is my PowerPoint from last school year that was saved in OneDrive. So it does go back extensively as long as you're saved in with your account. And it's thinking about loading it, but it is in there because I know for sure that's from what I did last year.
So, Mr. Curran, so Deneen, I'll get with you after this call. Mr. Curran, we have a question from London. He's saying that it won't let him go on other websites because the VPN is blocking it.
Okay. Let's see if I can troubleshoot it here. VPN's here.
London,
So I do see here that it has a VPN with a check mark.
London, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you see Mr. Curran's screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So do you see, London, where I have this green? I want you to take this off and see if do what you're trying to do and see if it'll let you do anything.
Yeah. I tried that yesterday, and I tried that. I turned it off, and I went back and see if I could still go on the site, and it still won't let me go on.
So
Okay.
what site, London?
It was like YouTube or something like that.
Okay. So that might be, Dr. Buddy, that might also be an option
Well,
where
that's which site, because YouTube is funny. The district is filtering stuff even though they're home. So London, can you try like CNN.com or another random site that's not YouTube? Does it let you on another site?
Okay.
Because actually, YouTube shouldn't actually be blocked, but that's a separate conversation. Does it let you on like CNN? That's just a random site I'm throwing out there.
not what I
No.
want.
Can you send me a screenshot, London, of that?
Okay.
All right. So, London, we got that on the list too. And I'll just say this, part of this conversation tonight, obviously, is to show you guys steps to do things, but we do know, as Mr. Kern said at the top of the call, that there are a couple tweaks that we do need to work out. Part of the issue is the iBoss system that the district uses to kind of filter and manage what you're on. There are some tweaks we still need to go through with iBoss. So if there's sites that you need to get on that it's blocking, I mean, that's something that will get addressed. Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Kern, can you stop sharing for a second?
Yep.
Mr. Parks, I know you wanted to.
Yes, thank you so much. I've already scrolled through. I've identified all of my scholars, and they have received their credit for being here this evening.
Great. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other teachers that are on have anything they want to share? I know we have several on this evening. Thank you, teachers, for joining us. Anything else, teachers?
Yes, Mr. Kern, I tried to sign into Schoology. This is Miss Fantone. I tried to sign